Perfect. We are all set. So thank you, everybody. Again, happy Tuesday. Thank you. Good morning for taking the time to join the second session of my three-part series that I'm doing. Again, as an introduction, or if this is your first time, my name is Lucas Rodriguez. I am the Learning Assessment Specialist for the Great Lakes region. I support 5 states in the area and we specialize, my team and I, with what we refer to as inside accounts, so schools 3,000 and below. So we're very familiar with independent private charter schools, as well as your smaller public districts in the rural areas that aren't your big districts like Detroit Public City Schools or Philadelphia or Pittsburgh. So we know what the smaller schools need. And so with me today, I have Zach Davidson. Zach is one of our great solution engineers. Him and I will be presenting throughout the next hour or so, roughly. And for as I mentioned, I am recording this, so I will get this recording over to you after. As we discussed originally, this is really a second part of a 3-part series around PIMA and personalized learning through PowerSchool. As a company, we want to focus or move towards this personalized learning cloud that we're doing, and really how our solutions make up the products that our districts are going to need when it comes to delivering personalized instruction, as well as everything that's involved with that. So the planning side, which we went over in the curriculum instruction tool last week, with regards to unified curriculum instruction, how do we plan through this? So our curriculum maps, our lesson plans, how do we incorporate standards into that, either local, national, or custom standards? And how do we collaborate as an organization with regards to those maps and lesson plans? Now we're going to look at today for the engage part. Really, I think one of the most important areas is how do we engage with our students? How do we make it easy for them? How do we make it easy for the families to be involved too? Because we all know the more the families are involved, usually the more successful the student is going to be. So we want to make that whole experience as easy as possible. So today we're really going to focus again on how we engage through students through Schoology. Next week, we will then go into performance matters and how we adjust on that side. So how do we, monitor? How do we monitor those students? But today we'll start with Schoology. Zach will show a little bit about how Schoology can integrate with performance matters, as well as how it integrates with unified curriculum instruction. Really what we want as we go through this personalized learning cloud and what is formerly known as the unified classroom. These are the 3 products we're looking at today. There are a lot more, and we will talk to some of this, or I will mention some of this too. Schoology integrates very well with special programs. So if you are in a state that PowerSchool supports special programs with IEPs and 504s, you're going to get that integration directly into Schoology. You'll be able to see alerts, information, documents, depending on your permissions and your roles. We also then integrate with our behavioral product, Kickboard, that also integrates directly within Schoology, and then Navion's career readiness solution too. So we've expanded on that. You're also going to get the SIS integrations too. Obviously, if you are a PowerSchool SIS customer, they're a little bit stronger, but Schoology, like curriculum instruction and like performance matters, is SIS agnostic. So at the end of the day, we are really trying to work with any student information system that you have. Some of them, like Skyward and Infinite Campus, we do integrate a little bit stronger than others. That's something you can always ask me after if you want to find out what those limitations are, what those feature capabilities are. Zach will probably highlight some of the PowerSchool SIS one because it is all part of the same PowerSchool umbrella, and we are proud of those integrations. Some of them are the only ones in the whole entire industry with regards to like our standards-based grading passback. So we like to talk about them. As we're looking today, again, the whole child instruction. So we've expanded on Schoology consistently every year. Last year, we came out with the enhanced elementary school experience. So we really want to make it as a K-12 focused learning management system. This isn't something that we're trying to do for higher education or corporate training or anything like that. We are K-12 focused as a company and as an organization. Therefore, we want our LMS to be that way too. So enhanced elementary school features integrate with 200 plus tools, including Microsoft, Google, and we've expanded on that, as well as like Quizlet, BrainPop, Nearpod, Discovery Education. I mean, there's hundreds of them, as well as integrations with other platforms too. Some other things that we came out with this year that I really like, the annotation tool, as well as immersive reader, just really trying to continuously expand on that overall user experience. Zach's going to show a lot of that. We'll stay muted for the presentation. If you do have questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat. I'll answer those. We'll probably have some time at the very end too. We can unmute and ask any questions live. So with that being said, I'm excited. We're going to dive right into this. Zach, I'll stop sharing and I'll kick it over to you. Zach, you're still muted too, by the way.
You would think that after 2 years, right, we understand how to use Zoom at a technology company, but here we are.
Yeah, we'll plead the fifth.
Right. Good morning, everyone. Very nice to virtually meet you, or at least see your names here on the board. I'm Zach Davidson. I'm one of the solution engineers, as Lucas mentioned. And today we really want to talk through that wheel, right? I know that Lucas had a call earlier where they showcase the planning aspect of that PIMA model, right? And leveraging unified classroom curriculum and instruction to do so. And I actually want to start there, just to give a quick overview for those that may not have been on that call. Within our platform, what we provide with our UC-CNI solution is an opportunity for districts to think about the planning holistically, building out those curriculum maps that are viewable for teachers. What you'll notice here is in this example of a grade 3 math curriculum map, the teacher has the opportunity to view that map experience here. You can situate your district so that there are folks in the district that have editing rights for that curriculum improvement process to build out these maps. But teachers have this capability of viewing the map here and understanding not only the standards that need to be addressed, but having opportunities to incorporate resources that you might make available to those teachers to leverage in daily lesson planning, as seen here with a Minecraft video and things of that sort. So this is a static document that can be placed in Schoology. All right, so make note of that. But for the teacher themselves, when they think about the autonomy that they have around daily lesson planning, well, now that I've accessed the curriculum map as a teacher, I can start to build out my map experience on a day-to-day, lesson planning experience on a day-to-day basis, but leverage some of the resources that have been made available to me within the curriculum map, as seen here, where we take that same Minecraft video that we showed earlier and add it to the lesson in this experience here. Now, once we do so, we can supplement this with any sort of additional work or videos and things like that that we want to incorporate. But the beauty here is that we take that lesson plan on a day-to-day basis, and then we have the opportunity to actually incorporate that into the Schoology course where the teaching and learning is actually happening. So now that we've planned our day, we've taken that lesson plan that we've built in UC-CNI and placed it here within our Schoology course, as you can see. And this is the opportunity for us to engage our students. In this example, we already have the course here. Here's that lesson plan. I can add it or drag and drop that so that it's at the top of my course. I can unpublish it so that it's available for me as a teacher. But you'll notice that goals for today lesson plan, if I, view it as a student, it's actually unpublished to students, right? So they can't see that material there. So there's easy ways for you to think about the planning process on the front end and think about how you can leverage that directly inside of Schoology. With that said, we'll now dive into the Schoology course in itself and really talk through the aspect of engagement, right? Once we've planned out our material, the standards that we're going to address throughout the given semester, throughout the week, even for today, right? How do we engage our students with quality material, course material that's going out to allow them to interact with the content and stay engaged in a very easy to do fashion? And so here we are as Heather Archer. And Heather here is a math teacher at the secondary level. Just for the sake of thinking about the agenda that we're going to work through today, we're going to start off in the teacher role, both at the secondary and elementary experience. Then we'll focus in on the student as well. And if we do have some time, we'll also showcase some parent examples, because to Lucas's point, parents also need to be engaged with day-to-day material that's happening in their child or children's classroom. But again, here we are as Heather Archer, the high school math teacher. The cool thing is, for all of those roles that I mentioned, students, parents, administration, and teachers alike, the course design, for the most part, is actually going to be pretty uniformed. The homepage experience is going to be similar as well throughout every user experience. Now, when we think about the ease of use and easy navigation, let's focus first on this top navigation here, the courses, groups, and resources. Now, the courses are exactly that. It's where the teaching and learning happens on a day-to-day basis. The great thing here is for all of your teachers and your students alike, whether we access the course from the dropdown here or this course tile dashboard, we're actually going to incorporate through an implementation an integration with your student information system. Lucas mentioned this, but I'll just reiterate the point that Schoology is SIS agnostic. So while we have some additional integrations with PowerSchool, we can think about data provisioning all of your users, courses, and course enrollments with whatever student information system you're using today. Now, the courses are the meat and potatoes of the platform, but we truly think of ourselves not just as a classroom tool, but a district-wide solution or an organization-wide solution. And to that point, we also have a groups area. Now, you can think of your groups as anything that happens from an extracurricular standpoint within your school district. That could be, student-led groups like the basketball team here, which Heather is a coach on, right? Or the music club, the drama club, things of that sort. Additionally, the groups can be focused around faculty. In this example, Heather is a part of the Math PLC. She's also a part of the Curriculum and Instruction Group, where not only do we have this place where we can actively communicate with each other, as seen here, outside of the classroom, but it's also a great way to think about building adoption and sharing resources. We'll talk more about this as we move forward, but this groups area is a great place to think about building best practices, whether that's a full-on course or individual assignments, right? And now we can think about best practices being leveraged as common practice throughout the entire district. Now, again, we talked about resources. I'll just mention here, this resources area in the platform really does act as a content repository. It's unlimited storage for all of your individual users and for your school and or district as a whole. Now, the course dashboard, right, from this homepage experience, remember, again, I mentioned already, we're bringing in the courses and course enrollments directly from your student information system. But additionally, you can also think about how teachers can use the system for PD as well. And so as a school or district, we can incorporate PD so that teachers actually become learners in the platform, whether taking synchronous or asynchronous PD right here within the solution. To the right column, this is going to be available for teachers and students alike. Right at the top, you're going to see this reminders feed that really just showcases and highlights here any sort of ungraded assignments or discussions and assessments that need to be tended to by the teacher. Below that, once again, available for teachers and students alike, is an opportunity to see what's coming up on that daily calendar. For the week, as a teacher, I can see the homework assignments that I've pushed out, any tests or quizzes, and any events for the groups that I'm a part of. Obviously, the same would be for students, right? They would see the homework assignment that's due tomorrow, the test I need to study for, all within one location. Make note that this all feeds into our Schoology calendar, but our Schoology calendar also does integrate with your external calendars, whether Microsoft Outlook or Google Calendars, what have you. Lastly, here from the homepage experience, I do want to talk about engaging students through communication. In this example, whether I'm reaching out to an individual student or parent even with one-to-one messaging, it's available here within the platform. We also highlight the fact that our messaging can be incorporated externally via text or received as an email to a personal or work email address, even thinking about the parents as well. But outside of one-to-one messaging, we also can toggle from this course dashboard over to this recent activity feed. This recent activity feed is basically an update stream that highlights to the individual user all communication coming from the courses and groups that that individual user is a part of. So if a teacher makes an announcement that class is going to be conducted in the courtyard today because it's beautiful outside, or just a quick reminder to study for next week's test or quiz, as a student, we're going to get all of that information in one place, one location directly on the homepage experience. So in essence, the homepage really does act as a 30,000-foot view of any and everything that's important to that individual user. Now, before we move on into the course dashboard, I want to pause just for a quick second to see, Lucas, is there anything that you'd like to add about the homepage, or even invite others to ask questions via the chat?
Yeah, no chat right now. I mean, the biggest thing I like to call out is, just that visibility, the ability to drag and drop to if they like, depending on the setup. And then, you also have those notifications in the top right-hand corner. So notifications can be set up based off that end user. If that or parent wants more of them, if the student wants them push notifications, all that can be set up there.
Absolutely. And Lucas makes a great point about the notifications, that they are interchangeable and editable by you as an individual user. So for instance, think about a teacher. At an elementary level, I might want to get a notification when my 25 students, each of them submits a homework assignment. As a secondary math teacher, I probably don't want that notification because I've got over 100 students that I see and teach on a day-to-day basis, right? And so those notifications can be set up in a way that is necessary for the individual user. With that said, let's jump ahead here, and we're actually now going to talk about our courses. And once again, the courses, that's really the core of the platform in itself, where the actual engagement happens on a day-to-day basis. Now, once again, make note that for all teachers K through 12, we're going to provide a capability here within the course in itself where we want to highlight for you this design, right? The layout of the platform. This 3-column layout is going to showcase teacher tools to the left here, things like our updates, our gradebook, our mastery dashboard, all of that is going to be available. To the right column is that same reminders and upcoming feed that we saw from the homepage experience. However, this is going to be particular to this algebra course that I'm teaching. But it's really here in the center column where teachers get to be very creative in what they build and how they even deploy their content to students. And obviously, what we teach and how we build course material to engage our students in a first grade classroom is going to be very different than a 10th grade algebra classroom. And so we want to allow you to have the creativity to design course material in a way that engages your students where they are. To that point, what you'll notice right at the onset here is this Google slide presentation. Schoology provides an integration with Google and Microsoft alike that allows for you to encompass and embed any sort of Google or Microsoft documents directly within the platform. Outside of that, we also provide this folder-centric approach. And what you're noticing here is an opportunity to allow teachers to engage their students in a way that keeps them organized with their content. In this example, you can see that we have lesson folders that all fall within each unit folder. If I open this up here, you'll see some of the various activities that we have in the lesson folder. And so basically, whether it's week by week, chapter by chapter, unit by unit, you can create the organization approach that you see fit for your classroom and your courses. Now, when it comes to building the content, I really want to focus this aspect of the conversation on the ease of use around building course material to engage your students. In this example, what you'll notice right at the top of the course here is an opportunity to add materials. And there's a plethora of content that you can see here. The 3 distinct ways that Schoology allows teachers to author content is first, the thought around importing from resources. Now, remember in the beginning of the conversation, I mentioned that the resources area acts as a content repository, unlimited storage for whatever you want to save in the platform that you build here in the system, or even import from an outside source. Now, in this example, I built out this course here, and you'll notice this option tab where the second option allows me to save the entire course to resources. Well, if I do that, think about next semester, next school year. When my SIS, my student information system, populates a new course shell, that shell is completely blank. Well, now I can come into that new course, go to import from resources, and grab the course that I built this time last year or 2 years ago. Just check it off here and immediately now import that course into my classroom today. So it's that simple, right? The thought process of taking an entire course, saving it to resources to grab that content or individual items within that course, and very easily import it into my classroom today. So the thought process of having to build content once, but have it readily available year over year. Now, Also make note here that we have a personal file, but we don't want teachers only working in their own personal silos. So to that point, we have that groups area, right? Remember I mentioned how the groups can act as a way to think about building adoption throughout the district. We all know schools and districts alike, right? Where there are a couple of teachers here and there where they roll their eyes with new technology, or they're what I like to call digitally sidelined. For those teachers, we want to provide an experience that allows them to leverage work that other teachers have built out, whether it's course material, full-on templates. You can see here that I can take a course or a simple homework assignment that was built by my colleague, Holly Wright, almost 3 years ago, and add it to my course for my students, right? So it's the thought of having best practices, as mentioned, and very easily making that common practice throughout the grade level, the subject area, the entire district. Now, that's just one singular way of building content. The second is thinking about leveraging all of the apps and the content publishers that your school and your district is using on a day-to-day basis today, right within the platform. Now, these are just some examples: CK12, Discovery Education, even Google Assignments. I'll focus in on the Google aspect because I know Google is very often used with a lot of teachers in the classroom. We have hundreds of integrations with third-party apps and content publishers that you're probably using today within your own general classroom. What we want to provide is an opportunity for you to aggregate those tools, as seen here with the Google assignment workflow, where for teachers that are used to a Google Classroom experience, they don't lose that whatsoever. Here I have the ability to build out my Google assignment in the same exact way that you do within Google Classroom. But once I click create here and attach that document, it populates inside of Schoology. So in this example here, you can see this famous mathematicians assignment that I've placed for due on Thursday. Here it is again in the folder-centric approach, right? But the beauty here is that for the teachers, while they had the same experience to author the content, we want to actually provide a very easy and simple way for teachers to aggregate that content in one location as well. And so here's the assignment in itself. Here's the document, the Google slide that I've incorporated. And when I click on in progress, what happens here is that for me as a teacher, I actually get in one location, one window, an opportunity to go student by student and actually see the work that the student is working on as they're doing it live in the platform. Okay, even if they're home at, on their desk at home and they're working on this assignment, I'll be able to see, any sort of typing out, cursor moving. And the great thing is, from a teacher perspective, you don't lose any of the functionality that you're used to with Google. So our integration incorporates the entire Google annotation suite as well. But the real benefit here is that when the students have actually submitted the work, I still have the Google annotation tools available to me, and then I can open up that grade here, as you can see, and grade that, whether it's a numeric grade, a rubric grade, save that. And now, depending on your student information system, this 4 out of 4 can be synced back over into the student information system gradebook. We have that gradebook passed back, of course, with PowerSchool SIS and many other student information systems like Skyward, Infinite Campus. You might want to put your SIS in the chat, and Lucas will let you know if we integrate on the grade passback with your specific SIS. But we're excited about providing this capability that saves teachers time. We had a colleague of mine that did a case study, and it was, teachers overall, the overall thought was that teachers spent about at least 56 hours a week when it comes to student learning, whether that's grading materials, registering students for classes, things of that sort. But only about, I think, it was about less than 35 of those hours were actually focused in on actual student learning, right? And so there's so much time that teachers are wasting, and when it comes to manual tasks like grading papers and things of that sort, or even just taking the grade and placing it back in the student information system. We want to eliminate a lot of that, the manual labor, so that teachers can focus more of their time on the actual facilitation of learning in the classroom. So with that said, very quickly, I'll just take a quick pause here because I know that this is a very important aspect to the platform, the integration capability. Lucas, I saw that the chat was kind of bubbling up there. Anything that you'd like to point out when it comes to the integrations, or any questions that we need to answer out loud?
No questions, Zach. I appreciate it. And that was great. I mean, the biggest thing on the integrations is really, if you don't see it on the list, so I included the list of our app center. If it's not on the list, that doesn't mean we can't integrate with them. Our really only requirement that we have is that they're LTI compliant, stands for Learning Tool Interoperability. That's managed by IMS Global, third-party company altogether. As long as they meet the LTI compliance, we can integrate with them. I'll be honest, at this point, after the pandemic, 3 years removed, most companies should be LTI compliant. If they're not, you might want to consider looking at somebody else, because they're probably living, 5-10 years in the past, and they're not up to date on technology as it is. So most companies are LTI compliant. Just because you don't see them on that list doesn't mean we don't work with them. And then, like Zach said, if you want to know more about your student information system, certain areas like in Michigan with MyStar and stuff like that, we do integrate with those, and some other niche ones that are state specific. So just let me know, and I'll be happy to answer any of those questions. Thanks, Zach.
Awesome, wonderful. Great, so let's move forward here. We talked about importing from resources. We talked about leveraging different apps and content publishers within the platform. The third way we think about building content and authoring engaging material is basically to leverage the Schoology technology to do so. And so whether it's an assignment or a test or quiz, a discussion, Schoology provides very simple but very intuitive rich text editing capabilities as seen here, and rich media. So if elementary teachers want to use more visuals and clickable images, they can very easily incorporate that here in the platform. Speaking of multimedia, I will make note that this audio video capability is going to be present throughout the entire system in Schoology. So whether it's me creating instructions for my students or providing feedback, or even requiring the students to answer a question on a test or quiz with this audio video capability, you can see that it's very simple, easy to use, and we provide that functionality right here on the Schoology mobile app as well, whether that's an iOS or Android device. Now, additionally here, there are a lot we can do. We won't go through every single feature in this example, but you can note here that we can align course material that we're creating back to the standards that are most relevant to you. All of your state standards or any sort of custom learning objectives can be imported into the platform during implementation, so that as a teacher, when I create a homework assignment and align it, or a test or quiz, I can align that back to the standards as well. And so outside of the numeric grade, we'll talk to the fact of building course material that is seeing and understanding student performance against the mastery standards and the state standards as well. So when it comes to the assignment capability, the assessments, the discussions, all of these things can be incorporated here within the platform to engage your learners where they are. But we also want to highlight very easy ways for you to think about deploying the content to students as well. In this example, you'll notice that I have a couple of different folders here. One is the Unit 1 and Unit 2 folder. You see this Unit 3 folder as well, but you'll also kind of note here that it's actually unpublished to students. And so in this example here, what we can do is think about the thought around teachers building work or building their assignments and their activities for students for next week or next semester, next year, what have you, in the course. But what you'll notice here is that for any sort of course material, I have the ability to unpublish that content or publish it manually, or what we can do is schedule the publishing to be pushed out after a particular start date as seen here. So for that Unit 3 folder, we can unpublish it and then publish it once we're ready, or schedule it out to be published. And what you'll also notice here is a thought around viewing the course as any one of your individual students. In this example, if I take a look at Fiona here, it'll show me this is how your course looks to Fiona. And you'll notice that that Unit 3 folder is not present. All right. So there are very easy ways to think about deploying content as you see fit, or even allowing what we call student completion. This is helpful very much in a virtual classroom where there isn't much teacher interaction as you would see in a brick and mortar class. But what this does is basically say for all the folders here, right? I want the student to first complete everything within the Unit 1 folder before they get to move on to the Unit 2 folder, and so on. Additionally, just to make a quick note, you can also dictate what is defined as completion. And so for this lesson 1 folder where we have a couple of different items, I can dictate that completion for, let's say, a discussion is not just viewing the discussion, but actually posting a comment or reply. Then they get to move on to the homework assignment where I want them to make a submission. You can see that all of this is interchangeable. From there, they can move on to the assessment. Maybe it's a formative assessment where I want them to score at least a 70 before they move on to the next folder. So you can create these rules and change and edit them as you see fit, as seen here. Now, when it comes to the assessment, Schoology does provide its own assessment platform or assessment capability in our system, right? And for the most part, it's a very intuitive tool. I'll just very quickly highlight the assessment capability inside of Schoology. This is the capability for a teacher in his or her classroom to build an assessment that they shoot out to their 20, 25 students in their classroom. What you'll notice as I work through a preview of this sample assessment here is the thought around not only leveraging the standard multiple choice and the short answer essay type questions, but also incorporating technology enhanced questions. Things like short answer essay questions, or excuse me, drag and drop capabilities, or highlighting, right? Audio video capabilities.
En el supermercado encuentras diferentes secciones. La sección de ver.
So in this example, the Spanish teacher actually creates an audio prompt for the student to listen to, right? All of these questions can be automatically graded that I'm showing. We have 18 different question types in our platform that can be incorporated here within the system. 14 of them can be automatically graded. So things like these charts and the highlighting, the drag and drop, all of those capabilities can be automatically graded. Now, there are question types that do require some manual grading, things like a short answer essay, or one of my favorite question types, what we call here our highlight image question that allows a teacher to upload an image that the student can draw on. The beauty here is that not only can students, particularly in those math and science courses, now use online capabilities or digital capabilities to show their work, but they would also have an opportunity here right within the platform from a teacher perspective to actually view a video of the student going through the problem solving step by step. So instead of just seeing a flat file of this equation that I wrote out, the teacher would be able to see the student going through the work in a video format. It allows that teacher to not only identify where the student went right or wrong, but additionally provide feedback as well, whether that once again is text or audio video feedback. Now, of course, as mentioned, teachers in our platform can leverage Schoology to build out assessments that they showcase and provide to their students in their classroom. However, when we think about district-wide assessments, grade level throughout the entire school or throughout the entire district, now we want to start thinking about performance matters. And outside of the Schoology interface, performance matters comes into play with those benchmark assessments, but we can deliver them in Schoology. So for those that are going to be on the next call where we talk about performance matters, just to give a quick preview, what we can do is take assessments that have been built out for a district-wide implementation or deployment, or grade level deployment. You can see here that teachers can access those assessments from the Performance Matter solution and aggregate them inside of the Schoology course. So now, as a teacher, I've applied that course in my classroom, as you can see here with this Algebra CFA. Once again, I can manage the publishing of that assessment. And then from a student perspective, when they open up this assessment, they do so inside of Schoology. So it doesn't kick the student out whatsoever. It takes them to the assessment that they can aggregate right here from within the platform. So we want to provide a very simple and easy to manage tool. When I click on that here, you'll notice that the assessment populates. right? And the student, or in this example, I'm going through as previewing it as a teacher, but the student would have the same functionality, right? Where they can go through this example here, question by question, and actually work through the entire assessment without leaving the Schoology platform at all, right? And so that single sign-on experience is going to be present for teachers and students alike, all right? Now, speaking of students, we'll actually transition over into the student experience here. But before I do, I want to pause once again. Lucas, anything that you'd like to highlight here before we move on into the elementary roles and the student roles and things like that?
No, nothing specific. Something we will cover next week if you do attend the third session is any of those assessments that you are delivering within Schoology. The results will populate in Performance Matters. You can get those feedback as well as grades in Schoology too. So that's the only thing I think, Zach, I wanted to highlight on. But yeah, let's jump right into that student experience.
Absolutely. And I did forget to just mention one thing here while we're still in this course. I'll just kind of note here, not only are we bringing in those Performance Matters assessments, but you're also going to note here that we can think about leveraging other assessment content like Horizon for ACT or SAT prep. That can easily be ingested into the platform as well. You'll also kind of note here that not only can we bring in the Horizon data, this is just another example of the content integration capabilities that we're thinking through, right? That thought process that we mentioned earlier in the conversation of leveraging different apps and content publishers. Horizon data is just another one of those examples here. So as you continue to prep your students for those ACTs or SAT assessments, you can actually do so leveraging this solution right within the Schoology platform.
Yeah, thanks, Zach, for calling that out. And to mention on that, this is it's an optional add-on for the curriculum for ACT and SAT, but it's great stuff if you are in a state that requires that for your high school students or your 11th graders. Comes with 3 to 4 prep questions as well as a couple 100+ hours worth of content. So if you have some teachers assigned to that, they're having a hard time building content, or if you need to balance out their workload, this is a great starting point for that. So thanks, Zach.
Yeah. And even speaking of workload, we do want to provide, when we think about engaging our students, right, we want to give you opportunities to monitor that engagement. So there's a couple of ways we can do that. One is through our course analytics here, which provides a capability for a teacher to see and understand when students are accessing the platform and how much time they're actually spending in our course. Additionally here, what we can do is not only see that on a overall course basis, but if I click into any general student, it will show me how much time those students have actually spent on individual course materials as well, whether that's assignments, assessments, or discussions. So managing and monitoring that engagement student by student is super helpful. If I'm meeting with a parent, at a PTA conference, I can use this as a way to talk about the level of engagement on a student by student basis and actually have some data to back up that point. So this is super helpful on that end. Additionally here, before we showcase the student experience, I do want to highlight, the thought around elementary teachers, making note that everything that I showed in that secondary classroom can still be applied. All the tools and functionality is always going to be available for all teachers K through 12. But I always like to come into Janet's kindergarten class here just to highlight the capability around communication. In an elementary class, especially in the primary level, there is a ton of communication happening, whether that's a simple update that we incorporate with different read alouds, or again, leveraging the audio video capability in that communication. We can showcase to parents here pictures and images of students engaging in the classroom. We can, have our phone number and email address and even pin that to the top of the course here for students and parents to see. There's also the opportunity to think about sending a message out to all parents. Now, again, these are experiences I'm highlighting here in the elementary class, but make note that this is available for all teachers K through 12. You can see here that outside of sending a message to just the students, I can direct the message solely to all of the parents of the students in my classroom. And if I do need to reach out to an individual parent, and I may or may not know who that parent is or their name, I can come into the members area here. And what you'll notice here is that for each student, it showcases their parents or guardians right here below the student's name. So I can come over to the gear icon for one of those students and not only send a message to that student, but send a message directly to their parent or parents or guardians as well. Okay, so it's a very simple and intuitive tool so that we can keep the communication going, keep everyone engaged in what's happening with an individual student or multiple children throughout the entire classroom. While we're here in the course for that teacher, the elementary teacher, I'd also like to highlight here the Mastery Dashboard. Just again, to think about the level of engagement of understanding where students are, how they're performing against not only the numeric grades, but also the standards. We can see and understand here in this example how students are measuring up to the standards that have been addressed within the classroom. And so this functionality is provided to you as a teacher, making note that all of the functionality, the language used, the color codes, the formulas used to get to these measurements, all of that is interchangeable by your administrator at the school and or district. So it gives that opportunity for teachers to see not only is Zach or Lucas just scoring a 75 on the test, that really doesn't tell you much about where I'm struggling versus Lucas. But now that I can address the measurement of the standards, I can see exactly where each student has strengths and weaknesses across the standards being addressed in the classroom. And it allows for me as a teacher not only to view that and have that data point, but respond to that data point in a way that where I can take an individual assignment or a full folder of content and individually assign that to those groups of students within the classroom. All right. Now, speaking of the students itself, let's transition here to Sarah. Sarah is a high school student. And again, you're noting here that for the homepage, the student experience is going to stay the same, right? I get all those courses for world history, ELA, chemistry, Spanish, and such. It's all coming in from the student information system. Additionally, here I have that same upcoming folder that highlights to me as the student, the courses, or excuse me, the assignments that are coming up, the assessments I need to study for, and so on. When I dive into the course in itself, what you're also going to notice here is the same sort of layout, right? That allows the student to see that same 3-column layout that we showed from the teacher perspective. What's really cool here is that we can engage students in a multitude of ways. Remember that Google assignment that we showed on the front end from the teacher side? Well, the student comes into that assignment, they review that assignment there, right? I can see the exact assignment in itself. And if I scroll down a bit, what you'll also notice is I can understand how I'm going to be graded, right? I can see the rubric that the teacher is going to push out. Additionally, when we think about engaging students across your entire district, students with special needs or that have a certain accommodations can leverage the immersive reader right here within our platform. Schoology provides this experience at no additional cost to your entire school or the entire district so that we can leverage translation tools, read alouds, line focusing, changing of background colors, all of that can be applied here through the immersive reader integration. Additionally, though, I need to work on this Google Doc. All I need to do is click on my document. When the teacher attaches any Google Doc or Microsoft OneDrive document, it automatically creates a copy for each student to work on individually, as you can see here. So now I can work on that assignment and once again, still leverage all of the Google annotation tools. So think about the students that still love those Google productivity suites. You can still incorporate that inside of Schoology. And it's just as simple as clicking a button now that allows me to submit that document back to the teacher. Once I submit, just make note that the student, it's almost like submitting a hard copy file, right? I can't submit to the teacher and still consistently work on that Google Doc and make those edits, right? The teacher sees that hard copy file once the student has submitted, and only the teacher has the ability to unsubmit that document back to the student. Additionally, though, outside of the Google integration, we also want to highlight some capability around thinking about annotation, right? And what that looks like from a student perspective. So as teachers push worksheets or different PDFs to students, they can come in and still leverage the the annotation tools provided by Schoology to highlight, to freehand draw. What you're going to notice here, and there's a lot to see in terms of the annotations already, but we can incorporate a multitude of different colors and thickness when it comes to the highlighting, the freehand drawing, shapes, underlying, squiggly lines, you name it. All of this can be applied here for the student to engage with the work that they're annotating on. So I can write my name out, I can type my name out and use a text editor as well for free text, as you can see. And as I just scroll through here, notice that we can think about incorporating shapes, increasing and decreasing them. Even this crossword puzzle can be applied here so that the student can leverage all of the annotation tools to annotate directly on a PDF document that the teacher has uploaded for student work. All right. And then lastly, I'll just highlight the opportunity around portfolios. So for every single student within your school or within your school district, there is an area here for you to incorporate portfolios. Now, this is applied K through 12. So as a student is showcasing their work, as they matriculate from 3rd to 4th grade, that 4th grade teacher can see a lot of the work they've done in 3rd grade and not just the grade in itself, right? They can see in a high school environment, I can push out a college portfolio and share that, even as you can see here, very similar to a Google Doc experience, maybe with a college admissions officer, whether or not that admission officer has Schoology or not, he or she would be able to view that portfolio there. So again, not only the thought around engaging the student, but allowing them to own that learning experience on their end as well. While we're here in the student profile, I'll also highlight here the Schoology badges. Teachers can either leverage Schoology badges or create their own to engage students. And very often what we see is teachers using these badges here to incorporate almost a gamified classroom in itself. Students themselves love showcasing their badges to other students and almost making it a competitive effort there that, again, allows them to engage with the course in a very different way, but one that allows the student to almost emotionally become engaged with the course in itself. Now, I'll also make a quick note here. While students have access to these badges, and it really does promote that engagement from a student perspective, think about you as a school or district also incorporating badges for your PD courses, right? Because teachers love getting these badges as well. And so it's a great way, again, to increase and improve that level of engagement and adoption throughout the entire district across your user base, teachers and students alike. Now, we showed a lot from Sarah, but I also want to transition over into James here. And James is our youngest learner in our demo district. He's a kindergarten student. And while the platform at the homepage level does look very similar, right? I have my upcoming activities I can see. I have my courses here. I want to dive into the course, though, to showcase and highlight to you how we engage our youngest learners with a very different design element. We provide less text and less distractions for those younger classrooms. And what you'll notice here is larger icons as well, because as 5 and 6 and 7-year-olds are navigating through a digital environment, we want those students that are still developing their motor skills to have very large icons to very easily navigate through the activities here. If I click on this Your Favorite Animal assignment, what you're going to notice is a couple of things. One, once again, the immersive reader experience for any students with certain accommodations. Additionally, I have provided instructions for my students to read. But again, when we think about our youngest learners, right, there are very different reading levels provided. So the teachers actually incorporated the Schoology audio prompt or audio capability to provide that audio prompt to the student.
Tell me about your favorite animal. Using the record option below, tell me what your animal looks like.
So we can think about, again, how we can use these tools. We showed earlier the Spanish teacher in that secondary environment using the audio prompt to engage students. Well, we can use the same feature, the same experience, even at the kindergarten level when we're engaging those students as well. And then again, these large icons, allowing them to take photos or pictures. Once again, I can do this all from a browser, but I can also do it directly from my iPhone or my iPad as well. So we can engage learners from any device, any browser experience. To highlight the assessment capability that we showed earlier, this is just another example here where we're taking the same sort of question types. Remember that question type where we went through that algebraic equation? Well, it's the same question type here, but the teacher now has a video of a read aloud and asks the students to, as she's reading through the book, to go through and change colors and color over the shapes that she's naming, right? And so when she gets to blue squares, I can incorporate a new color. I can trace over the square here and show my teacher that I'm understanding the different shapes, the colors, maybe sight words, or even tracing over letters, right? In that primary experience. All of that and more can be done to engage these students at that early age, right? The read alouds can be applied, again, images, clickable images, can be applied here for drag and drop purposes as seen when the student is going through this problem solving in these various activities. So what you're noticing here is that Schoology provides an experience that will engage your youngest student at kindergarten or even pre-K, all the way to that 12th grader that's taking a calculus class inside of your school or inside of your school district. So we're really excited about providing that engagement experience to all learners. With that said, the last thing that I'll highlight here is the thought around parents. How do we engage every single stakeholder throughout the entire district? Well, Schoology does so in a very unique way. I'm going to toggle my profile here from James over into actually his mom, Alyssa, here. And Alyssa is a mom in the school district, and she has her own profile. Unlike most learning management systems that either don't provide parent profiles, or if they do, it's more of an observer only type of role where they can see what's going on with their student or child, Schoology provides parents to have their own profile because they're involved in the district community. Whether or not you're pushing out courses to parents, or even allowing them to sign up for the prom committee or field trip chaperone groups, or in this example, the bilingual parent advisory committee that Alyssa is a part of, where she can engage with other Spanish-speaking parents here within the school district, right? So these are just some examples of how you can engage the parents, right? She has the ability to send a message out to the teacher or principal right here within Schoology. And all of this is permission-based, right? So you can set the permissions as to what parents can or cannot do. But through the singular login of a parent, I can toggle from my own profile as a parent directly to that of my child or children as well within the school district. So my daughter, Sarah, is that high school student. And through my current login as a parent, I can toggle right away to see what's going on with her courses. I can see if she's got any overdue work. Looks like she doesn't. And if you provide the permission as an administrator, you can allow parents to even dive deeper and not only just see the grade, this 14 out of 16, but be able to see my child's submission to the teacher. Any one-to-one feedback that the teacher provided as well is going to be provided for me as a parent to view. And if I have more than one child in the district, Sarah's my daughter at the high school, but James is my son at that elementary school. And once again, I still have that same capability to see everything going on with James as well. So we want to provide those capabilities for parents across your district so that they have the opportunity within the platform to have that oversight, but also engage with teachers, with districts, with administration. Lastly, I know we've got about 5 minutes to go here, Lucas. I'm just going to make one last point here, and that's the thought around managing this entire experience from a district perspective. There's so much we can dive further into here, but I do want to make a quick note that in Schoology, we allow your administration to not only view courses, push out PD courses as seen here, where in this case, Holly, who's a district administrator, has pushed out a PD course for teachers to go through. Additionally, she has the capability not only of pushing out PD courses, but also engaging the teachers with course templates. Instead of having your teachers start from scratch and building out their courses, you as an administrator in your school or your district can actually create course templates that can be published to the sections that you see fit and you deem necessary. And so I can build out a second grade course template, push it to all the second grade teachers, and now they have the capability of seeing that course template and then even supplementing that with their own additional work. It's a great way to build adoption throughout the entire school district and engage not only the students, but the teachers alike. All right. So with that said, I'm going to pause here, right? There's so much more about the Schoology solution that we can talk through today, but we've only got an hour to do so. And so hopefully you've taken this session and learned a little bit more about what the Schoology platform can do to engage every single stakeholder within the school or the school district, the administrators, the teachers themselves, and the parents, obviously thinking about the focused student in itself and how we can engage the students to think about their learning material, not only in the classroom between 8 and 8:50 or my second period class at 9 o'clock, but even when they're going home, how do we flip the classroom? How do we engage those learners in the house with ready-made material that they can engage with, whether it's videos or audio prompts or additional integrations with the various apps, also, again, coming into that centralized environment within the Schoology system. So thank you so much for your time here. Lucas, I'll push this back over to you to kind of take us out here and just also plug in the next session with Performance Matters.
Yes, thanks, Zach. And that was great. Really appreciate it. Going through everything on the Engage side within that PIMA model that we discussed. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time to join. I will get out the recording this afternoon and send that over to you. Hopefully, I'll see everybody for the third and final session, which will be next Wednesday, a week from tomorrow at the same time, 10 a.m. I'll send that invite to you in the sign up if you like that. If you have any questions, need pricing, want to figure out more on like the integration side, anything at all, please feel free to reach out to me. Happy to answer all that. You'll get my email again this afternoon, and I look forward to speaking with more of you guys soon. All right, have a great day, and thanks, everybody.
Bye, everyone.